What's going on, everybody? We're back with another episode. What are we going to be talking about today?
Mental health and relationships. Oh, this is a good one.
It is a good one.
So mental health for us, it's impacted our relationship in a lot of ways. When we first got together, I was battling with an eating disorder, and I'm not speaking for other people that deal with certain situations, but for me, it was definitely a mind thing. It was definitely a lack of self-love, me feeling like I had to be this perfectionist in all of these ways, controlling. It was a lot of things that went into that, but ultimately it boiled down to a lack of self-love, a lack of self-acceptance. And in my opinion, I feel like a lot of things with mental health goes back to that. So even when you think of anxiety, that starts in your mind, what you're telling yourself. You're anxious because it's all of your thoughts that you're having. When you change your thoughts, you're going to change your outcome.
Yeah. And I think it all goes back to childhood. It all goes back to childhood traumas and wounds, just like myself, and dealing with watching intercourse on screen. That went all the way back to childhood, not letting my brain fully develop and having certain scars and certain things that trigger a response, I guess. Because I feel like with the eating disorder, you figured out how to cope with certain things because of things that you heard people say in your life.
Right. Because if I'm not this way, then that means I'm not
acceptable.
Yeah. That's good.
Which means that you can't even accept yourself. So me doing this makes me acceptable, or this makes me able to tolerate myself.
And I think all of that can go into depression. I think that's probably the biggest one when you think of mental health. I think being in a depressive state, but I don't think people really realize that being depressed, there's so many factors I feel like that goes into that. And I want y'all to know we're only speaking from our experience. So if your experience is different, that's valid. We can only speak from our experience and what has transpired in our life, right? Depression can look like a lack. I feel like
lack of zeal for life.
Right. I think a lot of that really comes from the thoughts that we're having about self, but also what we're putting in our body and how we're taking care of our body. For me, and I've experienced this, it's very difficult to have a love for the things that God has created, be outside in the sun, go for walks daily, eat foods that are high energy and that get life from the sun, like plants and fruit, read positive books, say positive affirmations, talk positively, and be depressed. When you think about it, how is that even possible for that to even happen?
Right. And if that goes unchecked and you let these thoughts linger, these thoughts turn into feelings, these feelings turn into actions, these actions turn into habits, and these habits turn into a lifestyle. When it does go unchecked over time, it led to me wanting to just check out from life completely, permanently. Because
it gets heavy.
Yeah, it does. If you're telling yourself in your mind all of these negative things, oh man, it's just life and it's just how it's going to be and it's not going to get better, not going to change. Well, that is how it's going to be, and it's not going to get better, it's not going to change, and you're just going to want to quit. I think that's what we've been fooled into believing, which is why people checking out from life has become such a thing more rampant, because we get under the illusion that, man, if we quit, everything's fine.
Yeah.
It'll be simple after that.
When it comes to you personally having an issue with mental health in your relationship, I think it's very important to be with someone who you're in tune with. Someone that can see that, oh, you've been going to the gym for a month straight and then all of a sudden you're not going. Or you've been trying to eat right for 30 days and all of a sudden you're not. And now you're just sitting on the couch watching TV. It's so important that when you're with somebody, you can see things in them that you are like, oh, I need to help you with this because what's going on here? And not just allowing you to self-destruct. And I wouldn't even call it allowing you, because you can't control what somebody else is doing, right? But I think it's being a support for somebody when you know that, oh, it seems like you're not growing and you're not continuing to elevate. It seems like you're actually doing things that you weren't doing 30, 40 days ago for the worse, not for the betterment of you. As somebody that loves you, that cares about you, I want to bring this to your attention. Versus, I think sometimes we get in this place to where I don't want to say nothing because that's none of my business. But when you love somebody and you care about somebody, I want to just bring something to your attention and your awareness because I love you and I care about you. And you said you wanted to do this and now you're not. You said you were going to eat this way and now you're eating like the opposite. Or you said you wanted to get out more and be out in nature more and now you're just in your room watching TV all day.
So what about the person that is dealing with depression and eating disorder, anxiety, all of these different things, and the partner brings that up to the spouse or whoever, but let's say you're bringing it up to me, right? But I'm not trying to hear that. I'm fine. So how does that go? What are you talking about? I'm fine. What do you do with that?
I think it depends where you're at, because I think some people, you can be vibrating at a frequency to where you're like, oh, I'm gonna just let you rock out then. That don't got nothing to do with me. Or you can be in a place of, you know what? This person is in a low place. However, I love this person. I care about this person. How can I help? So it's not a thing of I'm trying to force you to do anything, but I have to lead by example. So I'm about to go for a walk. Every time I'm doing something, I'm offering if you want something too, or I'm helping you. I'm about to make this salad. Do you want some? I'm going to make you some. Did you want to eat? I'm meal prepping this week. You thinking high energy food that is going to bring minerals and life to your body that's going to help you. Or this week I'm going for walks, or I'm doing this. I want you to be able to come out. I feel like it's including them, but also understanding that they may not participate at all. And you got to get to a place of, okay, how long can I allow myself to continue to be in this space? Because you matter too, right? For me, it would be a thing of I'm speaking life all day long and I'm encouraging all day long, and we're doing this and I'm figuring out how can I get you outside in nature? How can I make sure that you're eating the right things? I'm figuring out how can I make sure you're listening to the right things? I'm blasting positive affirmation because I need you to hear something. I have to do things, cultivate this environment into a positive, high energy space. That's what I would do because I love you and I care about you. And I know that you're not in a good place right now, and that's okay. I'm going to help you get out of that. That's for me. I don't feel like I would do all of those things and nothing would change. I feel like the power of my mind, the power of God, and the power of what I'm doing, I know that I'm going to get something back. I know that if you're in this high energy space and I'm doing all of these things, you have to come out of that. You're going to come out of that. And I think that's so important as somebody that's supporting somebody else. You have to know I'm in this space with you right now because I'm called to help you. That's what I'm going to do because I'm going to cultivate this space to where you're going to be able to hear things. You're going to be able to see things. You're going to be putting stuff in your body that you have to come out of this. You have to. You're not going to be able to stay there. That's just me. And I feel like that's just confidence in where I'm at and what God can do and what I can do.
And everything that you're saying is valid. It's very true. But what about for people that don't have that confidence? What about the people that it's like they're not going about it that way and they're trying the best way that they know how, but the person that they're trying to help doesn't want the help? At what point, how long do you?
And I think that's subjective for each individual. I feel like you should be able to know how long you can be in a certain space, how long God is going to give you the patience to endure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like being in that space, you got to be able to check yourself too. Because if I'm cultivating this high energy, high positive space, how did this person even get here? And you're a part of this space with me. So if we're talking about spouses, that means I got to check my environment. I got to check who I am. It's not about this other person. It's about me. How can I change and how can I grow and how can I become this person that I ultimately want to see in them? And how can I, as your partner, cultivate a new space for you? I think people can be in relationships and you have one person who's maybe dealing with mental health things. You got to look at your experiences. Oh, when you look at the past 30 days, I've been eating crap. I've been telling myself I hate my job and all these different things. Of course, you ended up here. Of course, now you're depressed and you hate life and you don't, because you've been telling yourself every day, I don't want to get up to work. I hate this job. And then you're eating foods that aren't giving you life, aren't nutritional for your body because you feel like crap. So you're going to eat like crap and then you're going to start to look like crap because now you're going to gain weight. It's a whole thing. And then you end up being depressed. It's so important to make sure that the space that you have, you guys are growing together and learning together. You can't be mad at somebody because they ended up in this space. You got to look at all of the things that have happened prior. Of course, you ended up here. So now that you're here, I'm just going to look at myself. That's all you can do. If I'm in a relationship with somebody who's depressed or dealing with all these mental health issues, I'm looking at myself because how can I bring life to this situation? And ultimately, you need to go to God for that. That's how I feel. And you have to look at yours because am I eating right? Am I getting out and getting sun and energy every day? Going for walks, spending time with myself? Am I reading? What are the things that I'm doing in my life to make sure that I don't ever get into this low place? Being proactive and not reactive. We've been in that space in our relationship a lot of different times. One person has been okay, the other person isn't. But we were like who we are now. I could never see that happening. Because it's like we're cultivating and we're creating this space to where it's like, hey, you're being self-aware, you're in tune with your emotions, you're checking things so early on to where it's not even going to get to this end spot. And all the things that we've learned about your mind and how important your thoughts are, you're literally doing that to yourself. Everything that you're saying to yourself up here, that's what you're physically manifesting. So if you're telling yourself, I have anxiety, why are you upset when you're getting in situations and you're anxious? Because you've been telling yourself for the past 2 weeks, every time I go outside and I'm around people, I get anxiety. And then you're upset when you get outside and you're around people and you get anxiety. You literally are in control. When people really realize the power of their mind, just the power of self and how much power they actually have and how they can control things and situations and they can control self and how they respond to situations, it is going to be very difficult for someone that understands the power of their mind to ever find themselves in a depressive state. Now, if they don't practice and utilize the power of their mind and they don't do what they know to do, then of course they can get in that state. But for somebody that is constantly telling themselves positive affirmations, constantly growing, constantly loving self, you're never going to find me in a depressive state. Now, if I'm not loving myself and if I'm not pouring into myself, yes, it's very easy to get there. You still have to figure out, how did I get here? Oh, because I'm doing this, and this. What am I doing on a daily basis to love myself? Nothing. To show my body that I love it by moving? Nothing, because I sit on the couch all day. What am I doing on a daily basis to give life and nutrition to my body by what I'm eating? Nothing, because I'm eating Zaxby's every day. You can't get mad because you're right here. Because all the things that you've done have led you here. It's all about your mindset and your response to things that have happened to you. There are so many things in life. You can talk about the physical death of someone, different assaults that happen to people, different injuries, all these things that can put people in this depressive state, right? But you got to realize that happens because I responded to this incident in this way. And because of my response to what happened, now I'm in this state. But I think that's accountability, and that's hard for people to realize because we're in this society. There's a physical death of someone, the physical body. Oh, of course you have to be depressed and in your room and sad for 2 to 3 months. Experiencing a physical loss, is that going to impact you? Is that going to be sad? Yes, I'm not saying that, but you have to get to a point to where it's like, I have to be able to be in tune with my emotions. I have to be able to feel my emotions, and I have to be able to understand this process of grief. And I have to also make sure I'm doing things on a daily basis, that I'm reaching out for help, that I'm pouring back into myself. And when I can't pour back into myself, I've told somebody that I need you to pour back into me. There's just so many things that as a society, everybody is reactive and not proactive. You wait till the situation happens and then you want to do something about it versus this situation has happened. How can I make sure this doesn't escalate or get worse? I know that I just dealt with this incident. Is my response going to be that this tears me down and I lose myself because of this incident that happens? Or am I going to be like, you know what? I got to feel all of this impact that this has had on me. I may need to step away. I may need some time to myself. But in that process, I'm feeling my emotions. That's a time of release for me. And then I have to move forward. I'm not going to stay in this state for 5 months.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard for people because we're in a society to where it's like, that's okay. You're supposed to be depressed. You're supposed to be down. You're supposed to be this. But it's like, I'm not doing that. I am responsible for my response. And I get to choose how I respond. If I want to respond in a way that tears me down and allows me to be non-present from life for 5 months, that's my choice. Be okay with that choice. But don't be a victim. Don't cry and whine about you making that choice because that's the choice that you made. Take accountability for that choice. I was down for 5 months because I didn't do the things that I needed to do for myself. It's not like, oh, this incident happened to me and it just broke me down and no, I allowed it to break me down. I chose to respond in an unhealthy way. I chose to not deal with that incident because that's the truth. And I think that's hard for people to realize because it's different levels of growth and different levels of vibration that people are on. And I think when you get to a place to where you realize everything in my life is my fault. If I'm depressed, that's my fault. If I have anxiety, that's my fault. I'm literally doing it to myself. But I think people don't recognize that, or it's people that may not even know, aren't educated on the mind and the power of the mind, because obviously you're not going to learn that in school.
Right.
But at some point, we got to take accountability for where we are. I just could never see myself right now and where I'm at and who I am, that I'm going to be depressed for 2 weeks. If I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do for myself, that's not going to happen. If I'm not doing the things that I know that I should do for myself, very easily can happen. I can say it right now. You will find me sitting on the couch eating some chips and I don't want to do anything because I've been there. But I did that to myself. I chose to do that. I chose to be a victim to my thoughts, to have negative thoughts, negative responses, to walk around with a lack of self-love and self-value for me. That's just what it is.
I'll give y'all the secret to solving anything in your life. She just hit on it, but the secret is so simple. Self.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
But it's work.
Yeah, don't get it misunderstood for easy. It's simple. It's not easy. So once you realize, like she said, that we control everything in our life, when you really break that down and unpack that, you realize that, oh man, as bad as your life seems or sucky as your life might be, once you take the accountability, like a man or a woman, and say, you know what, I did this to me. I caused this. Instead of being like, she did this or he did this. I don't like the way they treated the kids did this, but the way that person said this. Once you take accountability and know that it's all me. It's all in the way I responded, my perception to it. Once you realize that you could just change your mindset behind it, and you're willing to put the work in to change your mindset behind it, it's a process to it, for sure. But everybody can look. Like, this stuff is everywhere. It's free. It's just learning how to reprogram your mind. Literally. Once you learn how to reprogram your mind and you realize that everybody is you pushed out, because we're all one spirit. We're all God in human form, just like animals. That's God in animal form. A tree is God in the form of a tree. Right. Grass is God in the form of grass. It's all God. We're all God. God is one. That's why this is a universe. One verse. That means one song. So if you look at it and just worry about yourself, that's what they said as a kid, govern yourself, right? Worry about yourself. If I just govern myself and my thoughts, everybody around me has to line up with my vision and my thoughts of my life. Either they're going to get in sync with me or they're not, and they're going to exit away out of my life. We have the power to change any and all circumstances. It's the health of your mind. It literally says it. If all of these disorders are considered mental health disorders, that means as someone who is dealing with a mental health disorder, you have to reevaluate the health of your mind. Once you give life to your mind and you bring it to good health, you will be in better health state. When you think of all of these things that are categorized as mental health disorders, that's basically saying the health of your mental is declining. It's not where it should be. So if I am considered to have anxiety, eating disorder, depression, that means I have to evaluate my mental. I have to get my mental, my mind in a good state of health. If the state of your physical health isn't that great, oh, okay, that means I need to exercise. If the state of my mental health isn't that great, that means I need to exercise my mind. But because a lot of people don't know how to do that, you're going to keep going through these cycles of depression, and you're going to look for all this man-made medication to make you feel better. Yeah. When you are in a tough situation and you need to go with the right decision, what do people always say? Go with your gut. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. They say it, but it just sounds like it's this cute term because of what we've been taught. This is what I've realized and what God has showed me. You don't think with your brain. You're not your brain. Your brain is a receiver. It's a computer. I don't know if y'all remember the computers back in the day when we first got computers. Once you took the computer out the box, it had a blue screen or something, maybe a black screen, and it says you basically had to run the program. It was an empty blank slate. So that's what the brain is. Our human brain is an empty blank slate. And the only thing it's designed to do is to protect us and preserve life. That's it. Help you avoid pain and preserve life. Keep this body alive. That's it. That lets us know that everything else is just recordings. It's subconscious programming. And where you truly think is with your gut. Think about it. When we're formed, right, the baby is attached to the mother through an umbilical cord. The umbilical cord goes straight to what? The gut. It's really, that's the first brain.
Even when you think about the medicine that they give you for depression.
Right. If you're going to take some medicine for depression, where does the medicine go? Do they shoot you in the brain with some mental health medication? No, you put it in your gut. And so it's going to show you. And then if you mix medications, what happens? It makes you have an adverse effect. It can cause depression, mood swings, suicidal thoughts. Why me mixing two chemicals in my gut is that's making my brain think something different. Mm-hmm. That's what people got to get to. I keep going back to this because we're going to hit on it, but I'm trying to give these clues. Going back to health and what we're putting in our mouth, that's going to change the game. So if you got to trust your gut. So if your gut is, let's say somebody has IBS or somebody has all these different issues, things going on with the gut, that's letting you know that the gut is out of sync, in turmoil, that dis-ease. Do you think that it can operate at its optimum performance when it's at dis-ease? It's not getting life, nutrition. It's being clouded all day by being stuffed full because we get told to eat 3 times a day, which we don't need to do. That's the reason why people can't think. That's the reason why people are going crazy. Why depression is at an all-time high. All of these things is because we constantly are putting foreign, toxic chemicals in our body that is not of God. It's not natural. So if that first thing, the way we're connected to the mother is through, and y'all look it up for yourselves, but flesh of your stomach, your gut, and your brain, same tissue. They call it like your second brain, but really and truly, it's the first brain because it has to be developed first for you to get nutrition from the mom. So if that is what I feel with, that's what I know to be true, that gotta mean that I'm not thinking with my brain. Right. My brain is just a receiver. It's like a thermostat versus a thermometer. A thermometer is a receiver. So it tells you what the temperature is. It's reactive. So it's 85 degrees outside. Boom, the thermometer is going to reflect 85 degrees versus a thermostat. Set this. This is what it says, but I want you to set it to 72. And now it changes things. So we're the thermostat. The human brain is the receiver. We're not our thoughts. We control the thought. Now, why do we have thoughts? And a lot of people are going to say that. Why we got thoughts that aren't beneficial to us? These negative thoughts, these harmful thoughts. Well, you got to think about what you've been listening to. Yeah. What you've been watching. Who you've been hanging around. What have you been experiencing? Because the thoughts came from somewhere. They came from some type of experience. Somebody programs you. I ain't seen one child that come in this earth that's looking at somebody. I ain't seen it. They're a blank slate. They don't even have consciousness when they come in here. It's just a body. They have to learn all of this stuff. Just like King. He always, what does this mean? Can I say this? Is this nice? Is this kind? He's just computing all of this stuff. From that age of birth to 7 years old, he ain't even conscious. He's just subconsciously being programmed with all of these different thoughts, patterns, and habits. Yeah. And then people wonder why they want us to be in school earlier and earlier. They're trying to get us as soon as possible before you got your own conscious so that we can program you however we want to program. It's very important what you eat, right? But do you feel like there's one that's more important than the other? Like, can you sit up here and eat Doritos and burgers every single day, but tell yourself that you're not going to get fat? Because the physical body has to respond. There has to be some type of the mind-gut connection. I can only speak from my perspective because I had my experience and experimented with myself just from the time of us trying to transition off of eating meat and dairy. I've experienced this normal way of life that I've experienced all of these years since I was a kid, eating meat, dairy, biscuits, all of this crap. I analyzed how I've been thinking and feeling, and then I got off of all of that. During that 30 days of just eating raw fruit and vegetables, I realized, oh, it's a completely different way of life. I didn't need nothing to give me energy. I didn't need nothing but this life-giving natural food. It changed everything. It changed how I felt, how I reacted to people around me. Even before we completely cut out the meat, I was back and forth. So I would experience being more high vibrational and then getting back when I just started eating Wingstop, nonstop, and ranch. I noticed how short of a temper I had. Yeah, I remember that. And so it was just like, oh, shoot, where'd that come from? Yeah. I'm taking in the energy of these animals that are being tormented, being slaughtered. You are what you eat. That's not a cute term. That's real. You are what you eat. Animals have emotion, thoughts, or consciousness. So just like they want to preserve their life, We want to preserve our life. So if they're going through all of these issues, and we seeing videos now, cows crying, going to the slaughterhouse, you think all them chemicals that's being released from the brain because of these emotional feelings, you think that's not permeating through every ounce of that being? And then you're eating it?
You're ingesting it, you're taking it in.
Right.
I think people get so focused on physically eating something, not realizing that everything is spiritual.
You are what you eat.
Energy in everything.
Everything.
And I think when it comes to mental health, you got to look at and be able to evaluate your life. Everything. What you're eating, what you're putting into your mind. But there has to be a willingness, because when you're in it, and I think that's what I said, when it's like, it takes the support from other people, because sometimes you don't know that you're in it. And that's why I think it's so important who you have around you and who is cultivating your space. Because I want people around me that are going to be able to call out a difference in me and be like, hey, are you okay? I noticed you were going to the gym for 2 months and then you just stopped going. Are you good? You know what I'm saying? Because that means you were focused on your physical health. And at some point that was important to you. And because now you haven't been in the gym for 2 weeks, that means to me, it's like, is that not of importance to her anymore? What's going on? It's not about calling somebody out. It's about coming to you as a supportive and loving friend. I'm just asking you, I just want to make sure that you're okay. Yeah. That's it.
I'm not going to say anything is right or wrong. I just appreciate the way God revealed all of this. For us, the way we started this was health. And I know for sure that was it for me.
Getting us out of the mental health.
Just elevating our consciousness ascension, period. It was just about health. That was the first thing that we started, was health. Changing the food. So there are a lot of people that are in the spiritual space, but they eat whatever they want.
Right.
That works for them. Then there's people that are super healthy and you eat fruits and vegetables, but you're not in the spiritual space. What I've realized is, for me to be able to effectively be who I need to be, think correctly, and control my emotions correctly, the ground floor is what I put in my mouth.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, if you got to trust your gut and everything, that's why people can't trust God, because they can't trust themselves. But if I can't trust myself, that means that I don't trust God. And why can't I trust myself? Because my gut is clouded by toxin and it's been overworked. There's no peace. So when there's no peace, then that means that I can't think clearly, which is the whole reason why fasting helps people make decisions better. It's a whole physiological process that happens in the body when we fast. The ketones and fat being utilized and sent to the liver and being burnt off as ketones, which helps the brain be able to process. And that's very true. It helps the brain be able to process things better and more effectively and give stem cells to the brain. But ultimately, so if I need peace, if I need clarity, and this is true, 85% of our energy is being used up in our digestive system. When people break down all of these different foods and know how long foods take to digest,
right,
like you're mixing things, and people don't know about food pairing. Even with fruits, certain fruits aren't supposed to be eaten together. If you think about who we are, we're pure energy. If you want to be at a high vibration, keep your energy high. So if 85% of my energy is always going to be used for digestion, well, when I'm not digesting, what's going on with my energy? That means I got 85% of my energy left. So we're all accustomed to running off of 15% of our maximum potential of energy, which shows you why everybody's taking caffeine. They got the coffee, the energy drinks. I used to live on that in my 20s. Yeah. I was addicted to caffeine because I was always tired. Why was I always tired? Because I was always stuffing my mouth, putting something in my stomach.
Yeah.
But when I stopped, I cleared my stomach out and I realized how much more energy I have. And now what I can do with that energy and how I can visualize, that's the key. That's the key.
So let me fast on a regular so that I could just make sure I'm really hearing from God all the time.
And not artificial things like what we've been programmed with, or different signals or messages we getting from the food that we eat.
But all of that plays a part in mental health. You can't think that your physical health and mental health aren't connected. People don't see that connection and don't realize that. And that's so important. Taking care of the health of your mind. So if you're dealing with all of that, that's what you need to focus on. Your mind, your thoughts, what you're telling yourself, what you're doing on a daily basis to pour into yourself, to show yourself that you love yourself, that you care about yourself. And I think some people can have so much to say from an experience that they didn't have. You have to be open to new things. You can't say that something doesn't work that you've never experienced. We're in the position to speak on so many different things because we've had experience with so many different things. Everything that we say comes from experience. It doesn't come from a place of, oh, I have no idea what that is like, or no. It's
not
literally
a course that we took.
Yeah, you experience it. So if you have an experience with mental health and knowing that you're not in a good place and realizing like, okay, I got to get to a point to where I love myself. I have to do acts every day that show myself that I love myself. That's how I'm going to get out of this. I have to take care of my mind. What you tell yourself, your thoughts, always going to be there. You can tell yourself anything. When you look at it from that natural state of there are things that I can do and that I need to do outside of man-made medicine to make sure that I am always and don't ever have to get back to a depressive state. Because I have the sun, I have fruits and plants because that grows outside, and I have my mind and my thoughts. So as long as I have those things, I'm going to be good. That's not going to be taken away from me.
You can control any outcome, make the changes that you need to make in your life, make health changes, believe and know that you are healed of certain things. Everything has to line up with who you are as a spirit, because you are the spirit of God. So when you know that, you move differently. You move like how the Bible says. It says in what was that, Psalms 82:6, it says, for ye are gods, but you will die like men.
You have to be proactive and not reactive. You got to figure out, what am I doing on a daily basis to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and I'm loving myself? If you do that, you don't ever have to worry about being depressed. You don't. And if you've never experienced it, you should do it. You should go 30 days. I'm going to eat salads, eat life every single day, go outside in the sun every single day, say positive affirmations and actually feel it. Listen to things that are stimulating and motivating for me mentally. I'm going to do things to actively put myself in a better place. Things can be done and should be done to get yourself in a better space. And that's just loving self. When you love yourself, your thoughts will reflect that. Someone that loves themselves does not say, goodness, I look fat in this dress. Someone that loves themselves does not say, I hate doing this. I hate being around these people. I can't stand this and this. No, I'm just going to create a different space if I don't feel comfortable in the space that I'm in. I'm going to create a different reality for me if I feel like I don't look the best that I know I can look in this dress. That's really it. It's such a shift in the mental. It's that mental health is so important. You work on the health of your mind.
And if you hang around, you're surrounded by a bunch of people that don't know how to control their mind and are negative. Number one, minimize your time. Ultimately, find a new group of people to hang around.
Right.
Just like somebody drowning. If you're out in the ocean, somebody drowning, they kicking and screaming, fighting and punching, they're going to pull you down before you pull them up. That's just how it goes. That's why you get taught to knock people out. Knock them out and then save them. That's the best thing you can do to someone who's frantic and like fighting.
Because you're working against me. I'm trying to help you and you freaking or you're making this.
I'm not saying knock people out because they're negative. Don't misunderstand that. I'm just giving it for the whole example of it's easier to be pulled down than it is to pull someone up. That's just how it goes. Because of gravity. That's natural law. So it's the same thing that happens spiritually with our vibration. If people want to be helped, if they want to bring their energy up, if they want to make changes, great, man, be there for them. If they don't and they cool where they at, cool. Love them from where they at.
Right.
They ain't got nothing to do with me. That's your life. I live a great life and I'm going to continue to live a better and better life. But that's why they say you are like the 5 people that you hang around the most. You're a culmination of them.
And that's why it's like you can have a conversation, like even when we're talking about the mental health thing and your spouse and being like, I want to help you. But if this person is like, I don't want your help, I don't even want to do this, there's not going to be much that I can do for you. So now I have to figure out what this actually looks like. But it's like, you got to realize that person is mentally unwell. So that's why I said it's very important to know and be in tune with what God is telling you and what you have peace with. Because it is perfectly fine for you to ask somebody that I want to help you, blah, blah, and them say, I don't want your help. And you to be like, oh, okay. And you feel a release from that. But it's also perfectly fine for them to say that. And for you to be like, that's some bull crap because I know what God told me to do. And I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm going to change and create this different space. So that's why I think it all goes back to you have to be in tune with self. You have to, because everybody's experience is going to be so different. But if you're not in tune with self, with God, and you don't have a connection with God, with yourself, you're just going to be out here. You're not going to be able to help anybody to even know what you're supposed to do in certain situations. That's why it's so important for everybody to just take care of your mental, work on the health of your mind. You want to lose weight? Work on what you're telling yourself. Before you can get in that gym, you have to do something up here first. That's what's going to get you moving. It's your mind first, and the physical body has to respond in the way in which you're telling it.
Yep.
And that's just that. So mental health is extremely important. It's above anything else. It's literally everything. Within self, within your relationship, because it affects you, and then ultimately it affects your relationship. Just like you said, it affects everybody.
Your life in every aspect, physically, spiritually, financially, emotionally, it's all controlled by mental.
By your mind.
It's all controlled by the spirit. You hear what I'm saying? Who you truly are. So, hey, y'all get out there, love you. Go internal, go inside, keep working, keep asking questions. What's going on? Why do I feel this way? Why am I doing this? Because when you ask questions, you get answers. You will get answers. And if you really want some solid answers that you know is true and you know, like, oh, I'm not getting no wrong information, stop eating.
Right, fast.
I promise you, if you stop eating, you're going to be able to think clearly instantly. Just do 24 hours of not eating and see how you feel. Other than those habits that come out and those cravings, oh, I want to eat something, ignore that because you're not hungry. If we have fat on our body, I'm telling you, we're not truly hungry. We're just eating out of habit. So if you can ignore that urge to eat and then just be like, man, am I truly starving? Okay, I'm good. And then start to think. Ask those questions that you want to ask yourself. Really start to go deep. You're going to get them. I promise you'll get them every single time. Yeah. Without fail. So we love y'all. Remember, don't focus on the fruit. Focus on the root.
Okay.
All right. Peace.